Hello Ride On people, let's ride.
Yeah, it's quite unique.
Oh my god. It looks so nimble.
Yeah, very, very light. Should be good fun.
I wasn't sure he was going to have one to demo.
Yeah, me neither. So, hopefully it'll be good.
I think it's too new. Maybe they don't even have like an aftermarket exhaust or anything.
Yeah, 10 miles I think. So I think
Oh,
it's
really?
I think it's brand new. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. You are getting the break-in ride.
That's right. Yeah.
Sweet.
The Husqvarna Svartpilen 401. 10 miles on the clock. So first immediate impressions. Well, this thing feels like it weighs about as much as a groupie. It's very, very light, very, very agile. And it's actually smoother than I was expecting. It is a single at the end of the day. But you still need to dial in a few revs just to stop the blurry vision which you'll get if you labour the engine at very low revs. The seat feels very firm but not entirely uncomfortable, although we've only been riding a short distance. Makes a pretty pleasant sound on the overrun. It's got a nice kind of deep bellow to it, obviously just standard factory OEM exhaust, but it feels pretty nice. It's got a nice brat 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 sound to it, a tick over. I like the single clock. It's relatively clear, has everything you need in terms of the essential information about your fuel range, what gear you're in, speed. Mirrors are okay. I'm a pretty tall guy, but I can see okay in them. It does vibrate a bit, but it's quite a pleasant vibration. A bit like a V-twin can be quite pleasant in terms of its vibrations. For a single, it's still very, very smooth and feels pretty sweet. I like these black bars and the black risers and the Svartpilen embossed in the headstock. It's got a little rack on the tank here. I'm not sure how practical that is if you don't want to scratch the paintwork of your tank, but it's kind of nice that they thought of that. I like these black levers as well. Far too many bikes got top spec, you know, got Öhlins and Brembo and TFT and stuff, and then they put these crappy little cheap levers on, these nasty little silvery alloy levers. So it's nice if they at least paint them black, and these are both adjustable. And the ride quality is not bad, considering it's got kind of fairly chunky, almost off-road kind of TK70 style tyres as standard. There's not too much road noise, and it's not too vibration, vibey through the tyres, as opposed to just being a single, which you will get some vibration back from anyway. Feels pretty good. Cruising along in top gear here, down at 45 miles an hour. Doesn't feel like it's really slapping about. Vision is clear, so you know you can run it down a bit. We're in the fifth now, fourth, third, and of course cornering is just cake on this thing. It doesn't weigh anything at all. Very nice. And I'm going to knock it down into third, just rev it out slightly. Actually, I thought it would get very vibey, but actually it's quite smooth. So obviously the kind of KTM influence there in Husqvarna is paying dividends in terms of its engineering. It's also a very solid little bike actually. I can't believe I've been riding all these years and never ridden a Husky before, but I guess that's mainly because they've been dedicated off-road and now they're starting to do some on-road models, so it's interesting to see where they take that and how popular they prove to be. Brakes feel pretty nice. They're not kind of brick wall anchors, they're not kind of like Brembo radial monoblocks, but they have bags of feel and plenty of stopping power, because this thing, as I say, weighs absolutely nothing and it's really easy to stop the bike. So we're in quite an urban environment here and I'm really enjoying the bike. I have a feeling that the Svartpilen 701 bigger brother would be quite awesome actually in the kind of suburban environment or tight twisties. It's not going to be so great on the freeway obviously, but I think in an urban environment, actually the 401, particularly for commuting, would be a great bike. I think if you also want to ride at the weekends and get out in the canyons and the mountains, you probably want the 701, particularly if you're, you know, a larger guy rather than say, you know, svelte slim in Navy, for instance. We're in a bit of a processional ride out, and if you've done one of those before, you know they are what they are. So I'm not really riding it at the pace I would like to, or pushing it through the bends as much as I would like to, although this is a brand new bike. It had 10 miles on it, just 10 miles. We took it out, and this is brand new tyres, and they're knobbly in fashion, and they feel quite slick and shiny and slippery to touch. But actually riding, no problem. It's a chilly day today. It's only about 42 degrees, but it feels like tyres are warmed up and bedded in quite nicely already, so no problems there. It's quite strange really, because this has a very flat, very narrow, very hard seat and a very firm rear suspension, and yet it doesn't feel particularly uncomfortable at this point. I think maybe, you know, if you ask me how comfortable it is in 50, 100 miles down the road, I might say differently, but in this short ride so far, it feels very controlled and comfortable. I would assume it was a little bit on the firm side and had great control to help me out if a corner tightens, or in an emergency if I had to avoid hitting something. I'd sooner the suspension and steering were firm and agile than super comfortable and a bit soft and spongy. So what about its competition? Well, I don't know really if it has any real competition. It is a single at the end of the day, and there's no real sporty singles out there that I can think of off the top of my head. You might be considering things like a Triumph Bonneville, which would be your bobber perhaps, and they'd probably be easier to live with on a day-to-day basis. But if you want something purely sporty and practicality is a bit out the window, this is a great little weapon. It's a lot of fun. Right, we're top gear 65 miles an hour. I'm finding just the very slightest blur in my vision, so that's the vibes obviously starting to come through. This is a brand new bike. I suspect it would get a lot smoother with, you know, 500-600 miles on the clock or something. Not a deal breaker that, but just instantly noticeable. Right turn on red. Gotta love that. So when you grab the brake, front brake's hard, there's quite a bit of dive at low speeds coming up to the lights and stuff, but it doesn't seem so noticeable when you're being, you know, smooth with the brakes under normal riding. I'm not sure whether when you're hooning in the canyons and pushing it hard you start to get a bit of brake fade. Possibly so. Probably the 701 would be a bit better in that respect. I think this is more aimed at looking cool in the city, and you know, for people who want to look cool on their commute or pop out to a coffee bar at the weekends and on their shiny toy. It has a lot of character and a lot going for it in that respect. It's pretty nice when you rev it out a little bit. Yeah, this seems to make mincemeat of the corners. Just ground beef. I think it's thankfully one of those bikes that the harder you push it, the better it feels, and that's always a good thing in my book. You don't want things that once you begin to push they start feeling vague and soft and woolly. You want things that get better the harder you push it, because typically once you get used to the bike, there'll be occasions, if not regular occasions, when you begin to push the envelopes of its performance or handling, and the more you push it, the better you want it to feel, the more you want it to be secure and get you out of danger rather than into it. So it feels pretty good. Smells a bit funny. It's a brand new bike, and maybe the sales guys have sprayed it with some silicone spray or something, but I don't see any fumes coming off it. But it's definitely a little bit whiffy. It's almost kind of strange thing to say, but it's almost like two-strokey, like almost like a Castrol R type smell. You've got to be an old boy if you remember what Castrol R smelt like. Hit the rev limiter there, I missed the gear. Hit the rev limiter, you get a little light flashing up, and still felt pretty smooth. Didn't feel like it was about to implode or anything, so that's nice, I guess. Love is the sweetest thing. Suspension feels pretty nice actually. It's already feels slightly different from when I pulled away from the dealership with 10 miles on the clock. It actually feels like it's you know, freeing itself up almost. And it feels very smooth and progressive. It actually feels a nice quality feel to it. It's not unlike the kind of cheaper Ollings forks. There's a nice progressive smooth feel to it, very well dampened. Rear shock is definitely a bit on the firm side. Preload wise feels good, steers well. Compression wise doesn't really compress that much, but you know, ironically that kind of helps the rebound in terms of handling the stroke. I don't think you want to take anybody on the back of this bike. You can barely fit a tail pack. Come on guys, find the accelerator. Strangely, the shift feels pretty smooth, but the shift lever itself is kind of rubbing a little bit on my big toe. Maybe that would bed in with a few miles on the clock, but just a slight observation. In terms of ergonomics, very, very good actually. My legs don't feel too cramped. The bars feel a nice height. The levers and brake levers, clutch lever, gear lever, all set at perfect position ergonomically. Good job, Husky. I like it. It's a fun little bike. Very unusual. If you like being different, and this is the type of bike for you, so ride one if you can. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate all your feedback and support for the Ride On channel. I hope you're already a Ride On subscriber, but if not, please subscribe straight away. And last but not least, ride often, ride carefully, ride on.